Hiya fishy folks, and welcome back to Michael's Fish Room. Today's video, all about Bristlenose Plecos. Grab yourself a healthy snack and beverage. Stand by. Today we're going to be talking about Bristlenose or Bushynose Plecos. Now, a standard Pleco, also called the common Pleco, which is a whole different fish, gets anywhere from, a foot to 3 feet based on time and tank size and so on and so forth. These Bushynose or Bristlenose Plecos only grow to about 4 inches, so they're perfect for the home aquarium of pretty much any size. Anything from a 10 on up. I mean, I could keep them in a 5 if you keep up on water changes, but I would say 10 gallon is minimum. As far as water quality, of course, you want 0 ammonia, 0 nitrites, and Plecos are a little bit more sensitive to nitrates, so I would say under 20 nitrates, especially if you're looking to breed them. pH, now in the wild where they come from in Panama and South America, they like softer water. Now, I would venture to bet that 100% of the Bristlenose Plecos you buy in the hobby today are all tank bred. So the pH isn't as important, certainly on the softer side if you're looking to breed them. However, I breed Plecos all the time. My water is 7.2 pH. So a good rule of thumb is anywhere from 6 to 8 pH, which is a very wide range, and you can keep Bristlenose Plecos. GH and KH I don't find matters too much, so I wouldn't really be overly concerned about that. Temperature, they do like it on the warmer side, however, especially if you're breeding. However, you can keep them at a regular community tank temperature. I would say anywhere from 76 on up. If you're breeding, you may want to bump that to 78, 80. But they can handle even higher temperatures, 82. It's about the highest I would go. 84 might be a little too warm for them, but somewhere in the, I would say, 78 to 82 range would be perfect, whether you're breeding or just keeping them. Some of their care requirements, obviously they like clean water, and they like to eat. Now, a lot of people buy Plecos as algae cleaners or bottom feeders. Can't do that. I have a whole video on how to feed Plecos. I'll put a link up here. That's what that was before. But in general terms, they do need to eat. I feed mine at least twice a day. I tend to overfeed because I am breeding for profit, but typically you're going to want to drop in some sort of sinking food, some kind of wafer. I like the Northern kelp wafers the best. It is fantastic food for guppies. I also feed cobalt, shrimp and veggie pellets, and extreme cat scratchers. They get those 3 in a rotating basis. Now, some of the other foods you can feed Plecos, believe it or not, most vegetables and fruits they'll eat. All kinds of melons. I feed cucumber regularly. I feed sweet peppers. And one of the things I feed at least 4 times a week are French cut green beans. Cheap, canned French cut green beans. Doesn't matter if there's added salt or not. Simply drain the water out, drop some in. Most times, if you drop in 3 or 4, you have 1 Pleco, it'll be gone in 24 hours. I drop handfuls in and they're gone in 24 hours because it's great food. One of the other foods you can feed is called Rapashi. It's a gel food. Comes in a little can like this. They make many different flavors. For Plecos, I happen to really like one called Morning Wood. And here is an example of some Rapashi. And I just made it a couple hours ago. I just put it in this silicone ice cube tray, so I make little cubes of it and drop them in the tank, and they love it. You don't need to refrigerate it after you make it. You can make it in your fish room and then feed it right away after it solidifies. So, a couple of other care tips with Plecos. Bristlenose Plecos especially need wood. It doesn't matter what kind of wood. Could be Malaysian or chola, shola, whatever the heck you call it. Doesn't really matter. They just need wood in their tank. They need it for their digestive system. They will chew on it. And it's very good for them in the tank. So make sure you have wood in the tank for them. In addition to feeding every day and having wood and clean water. They do like caves. Now you can buy specifically designed caves. My buddy Keith from KGE Aquatics sells really beautiful Pleco caves that look realistic and are great for breeding, but just great in general. But you could just do regular watering spike caves, which I've talked about before. I'll have a link down below. It'll be an Amazon link, of course, where I can make gajillions of dollars if you click it. But you buy those and they're cheap enough where you can put them in many different tanks or have a few different in your tank, few different caves in your tank, different spots. Now, how many Plecos do you need? Do you need a male-female ratio? So you could have a pair, a male and a female, and telling a male and female apart is pretty easy. Males, especially when they're an adult, have longer bristles. Most females do not have bristles, but just like with humans, some of them do. Usually they're very short though. If you see a adult Bristlenose Pleco and they have little tiny bristles, more than likely it's a female. Longer ones, males, and that's how you tell them apart pretty much. So you can have a pair, you can have a few different males or females. It doesn't really matter the ratio, but if you have more than one male, make sure you have multiple caves because they are territorial. They do like their own cave in their own area. So what about filtration? What kind of filtration do I recommend? Well, of course, I run sponge filters in my entire fish room, but a hang-on back filter will do, a canister filter will do. Plecos in general are pretty messy, so if you're like me and have sponge filters, their poop will create lots of mold, which isn't a problem for me, but if you have a tank in your living room or family room or kitchen where you don't want to see all that mold, you're going to want something with better mechanical filtration than a sponge filter. Hang-on back is fine, canister is fine, whatever it might be, internal. Just make sure you clean it out as soon as you need to. That pretty much does it for their basic care. We've talked about food, we talked about water parameters. I'm not really going to go into breeding tips. I do have other videos for that. How to breed Plecos, how to breed them for profit. Let's take a look at some Plecos in their tank. Alright fishy folks, here are some albino Plecos. These are about 6 months old. Plecos in general grow a little bit slower than I would like to sell, but you can see the Plecos are eating off the biofilm and mulm on the filter, and they're chilling with all the snails. Now this tank has a ton of snails. I will grab a handful and feed them to my flower horn, but there's a ton of snails in here because I overfeed them. I overfeed the Plecos so they grow faster, and that creates a higher snail population. You can see the wood that's in here, and they are eating on the wood, gnawing on it, and getting healthy. So all these Plecos were born in my tanks, and I'll show you some babies in a little bit. The tank next door we have long fin albinos, and you can see I have the Pleco Feeder, which I got from my buddy Keith at KGE Aquatics. That's the large version. You can see it goes from the top of the tank all the way to the bottom. And I have some cucumber on there. There's one Pleco just chilling, nibbling on that. Now I'll come back in about 6-8 hours and that will be gone. Alright fishy folks, this is a standard breeding tank. It's just some regular brown bristlenose that also makes albinos. Looks great. You can see all the babies in there. Tank looks dirty, but it's because the Plecos are stirring up all the mulm. You can see I have some red pepper, sweet pepper. They love it. You can see him eating it. This is the short Pleco feeder, also available from KGE Aquatics. Check out KGE Aquatics on Facebook. There will be a link down below. Keith is a good friend of mine. Let's get one thing straight. He is a great friend of mine, but he has great prices and great service. Check him out if you're looking for any dry goods. He also sells some live stuff too, some rarer stuff, so check him out. You can see all the babies in here. This is, like I said, a typical breeding setup for me. There's lots of snails as well. All right, these are some more, a separate tank of albino bristlenose Plecos. You can see the morningwood rapashi. They are starting to eat it. And guppies do like it too, of course, but once I shut the lights off, the guppies will probably just, you know, kind of fade away, but the Plecos will devour it. That big cube in this tank with probably, I don't know, there's probably about 25 Plecos in here. That'll be gone in about 12 hours. They'll eat it, and it'll be fantastic. There's a albino Bristlenose Pleco male just chilling on the bottom of that wood. You know, he'll hide there, he'll eat off the wood. When he's ready to breed, he'll follow a female into the cave, trap her in the cave. She'll lay her eggs, he'll fertilize them. She'll leave the cave and he'll guard them until they're born and they leave the cave. There's a good example of a albino Bristlenose Pleco female. If you look close enough, you can see that there are bristles, but they're very, very small. And that's just an indicator of an adult that's a female. Alright, fishy folks, hope you liked the video. Hope you learned something about Bristlenose Pleco Care. If you have any questions or comments, definitely leave them down below, and stay tuned for some pretty spectacular bloopers. Hiya fishy folks, and welcome back to Michael's Fish Room. Today's video about, yeah, of course it's a video, I just said that, dummy. Hiya fishy folks, and welcome back to Michael's Fish Room. Today's video all about plecos. Grab yourself a healthy fishy folks, and welcome back to Michael's Fish Room. Today's video all about Bushynose Plecos. I like them called Bristlenose better. Hiya fishy folks, and welcome back to Michael's Fish Room. Today's video all about Bristlenose Plecos. Grab yourself a cheese and rice. So fishy folks, today we're going to be talking about Bristlenose Pleco, sometimes called Bushynose, and they are a little bit more, when you make rapashi, just so you know, you do have to treat it like fresh food, so once you make it, you have to refrigerate it. It will harden at room temperature, though. You don't need to refrigerate it to actually make it hard, so you can, you gotta be careful what I say. But let's take a look about,